Why did VersaBank choose to enter the U.S. market?
The reason that we chose to go to the United States is we developed a unique method of financing and funding point of sale companies in Canada. We actually started that around 2008, I suppose it was, in the liquidity crisis, when we recognized that point of sale finance companies were in desperate need of reliable economical funding. So we created a technology to be able to fund these point of sale companies and piloted it in Canada, and it worked extremely well. When we look south of the border, we noticed that market is huge compared to Canada. The point of sale financing market might be in the order of $1 trillion. It doesn't go in proportion to the population. It seemed, at least when we did our research, that the U.S. propensity to finance at point of sale was much higher in the States. So we thought, well, what we should do is introduce this new method of financing or funding these point of sale companies to the States. And to enable us to do that, we needed we thought, a national U.S. bank license. So I used the same strategy as I used to create VersaBank, where we took over a tiny wee trust company in Saskatchewan called Pacific and Western Trust, and then later applied for the federal bank license, I guess in the first in 18 years to get one. So in the United States, we found a subsidiary of a wonderful bank called Stearns Bank, a subsidiary in Holdingford, Minnesota. And we negotiated the purchase of this bank. And even though it's just had one branch in Holdingford, Minnesota, it had a national bank license, so it served our purpose. And it was very analogous, of course, to how we got started in VersaBank to begin with. So we rolled it out, and thankfully the regulators approved us becoming a nationally operating bank in the United States, and we rolled out our point of sale program. And as we expected, it's great when things work out as expected. It's gathered momentum rather quickly.
What made it so easy for you to enter the U.S.? Because it sounds like you were basically streamlined into the U.S. Is there something in particular? Did you have a beachhead or some particular partner that you were working with that made it accessible?
We're a cloud-based bank, so our operating software is available anywhere in the world, and so it was sort of seamless for us to open up shop in the United States. Our servers located in Des Moines, Iowa, at the Microsoft Azure facility. We also have backup in Mississauga. So from a technology perspective, it wasn't very hard for us. I mean, we could be operating in Iceland as a cloud-based bank, and we tested the market with a few companies just to see if our expectation could be validated, and it was. So it was actually, for us, it was just the geographic border didn't exist once we had the license.
What would you say are your primary competitors in this space, and what are your advantages over them?
Well, the primary competitor is a product called asset-backed securities. So this is where these point-of-sale finance companies will batch up their loans and leases into an asset-backed security and then sell them to investors. And it's been working for years and years and provides a pretty economical, reliable funding source, although there are times when the market doesn't have any appetite for asset-backed securities. It seems like every 8 years or so something goes wrong, and so that's it. That's the competing product is asset-backed securities. So the advantage that our product has is that it meets the pricing of an asset-backed security, i.e. it's about equivalent pricing, but it doesn't require all the batching legal and accounting and commissions and selling that the asset-backed security does. So it's a reliable, ongoing funding source for our partners, which as long as the pricing is comparable, they like the convenience of getting their funding right away rather than having to batch it all up and wait for the market to accept it and buy it.
What types of receivables are you focusing on mainly, and why?
Well, we're sort of agnostic to the receivables in that we have this unique method of mitigating the risk. We have what's called a cash holdback. So if it's a very risky portfolio, we might want to hold back a lot of cash so we can put back the delinquent loans. If it's not so risky, let's say hot water heaters or something like that hardly ever go into default, then we don't hold back much. So generally speaking, we're somewhat agnostic as to the underlying asset that's being financed. But it seems on both sides of the border that home improvement is the big market. And that's Canada and the States. And I guess that makes sense because on both sides of the border, folks are trying to find out how they're going to save money on energy bills. So a lot of our business is financing energy efficient furnaces and hot water heaters, and maybe some insulation, siding, roofing. But I think the impetus is that energy costs both sides of the border have gone way up, and consumers are saying, how do we save a few bucks? And they get one of these super energy efficient furnaces, and that's what's being financed.
Okay. And what percentage of U.S. assets do you think you'll have compared to the Canadian assets?
Well, right now it's looking for 2026. It might be about a fifth would be in the United States, 4/5 in Canada. As time progresses, considering how big the U.S. market is, I would say eventually it'll be more in the States. Just water finds its own level. The market is so huge. But it'd probably be a few years before it approaches 50-50.
And what other U.S. products lines do you consider beyond RPP?
Well, frankly, not much. On the lending side, we aren't really a face-to-face lender, either in Canada or in the States. We always operate through a partner model. We call it B2B. We don't really see ourselves doing much else in the States. In Canada, we have a legacy business where we finance residential multifamily projects. And we've done that ever since my Bank Montreal days to Barclays. And we still have some of the same team that does that. It's a small business in Canada. We don't intend on doing that in the States. That's a well-served market with expert U.S. banks doing it, and we don't have anything sort of over and above that to add. So just point of sale on the lending side.
For example, National Bank has successfully operated as a domestic bank, and they've been actually probably the leader. I mean, I've done my report mostly focused on the big five, but National Banks would be considered one of the big six. And I think they've done, over the last few years, a little bit better even than the big banks.
Well, it's simply that we're bringing a unique product to the United States. If National was to go to the United States, there'd be one of 4,000 banks in the United States with the exact same products. And it's really hard to marginally make a difference to a consumer. The U.S. has got a lot of really good banks, small banks, big banks, that do a super job. And so when you go to another country with the exact same product, you got to ask yourself, why are you really doing it? Because can you be that much better to get a piece of the market? The other 5 Canadian banks have done that, and with varying degrees of success. And
it's true what you're saying.
Yeah, so we came with a better mousetrap. And if we didn't have a better mousetrap, there's no chance I would have gone to the United States, because it's a highly competitive marketplace.
And what about the regulators? How are they? Are they behind you? Are they in the way? Are they neutral?
Well, they're really behind us. It's wonderful dealing with the U.S. regulators. They endorse innovation, and this one, of course, they got a chance to see it proven out in Canada when they did a deep dive in our bank. 5 years of outstanding success with the same product. Didn't take a lot of convincing. You can come to a new country with a new idea, but and regulators are paid to be skeptics, of course. But when you come to a new country with an idea that's already proven itself out just north of the border, it didn't take much. And I pitched them quite rightly. I said, look, your point of sale finance companies could do well with a reliable economical source of financing. I mean, that's going to help consumers, hopefully buy a car cheaper, or a motorbike cheaper, or a hot water heater or something. And it makes sense, so that's what I was saying. And I was preaching to the converted, of course. They want to make sure it was working well. But after they sort of unfold, they got lots of support.
Excellent. I think that's pretty much wraps up the questions I have. I didn't ask them all, the ones on the list anyways, because you kind of answer them in and out. But there is one thing that comes to mind. Is there a specific geographic area in the U.S. that you're targeting, or is it overall U.S. in general?
It's overall U.S. in general. Being that cloud-based bank, we serve the entire country. Now we're headquartered in Minnesota, and I love that state in that I grew up just north of the border of Minnesota in Fort Francis. Actually, literally north, because I have an island that's on the lake that separates Northern Ontario from Minnesota. So I've always had a real warm affinity for that state, and I go there frequently.
Thank you for the very interesting and detailed responses. I really appreciate it.